I've returned with small book reviews you'll be very pleased to know. So I have 3 books to talk about today, and yeah, as I say, this is going to be pretty short and sweet. But I have an hour alone today, and so I'm using it to film all my videos, and it is absolute bliss. So as is my usual modus operandi, I'm just going to go through these books in no particular order, and the first one that I'm going to talk about is this one. This one is Running the Highway to Hell, and this is by Graham Harvey, who, side note, I met at a cafe. He was really nice and he served me up the best bit of cake ever, and then I found out that he was an author, and so here I am having read his book. So this is Graham's non-fiction account of running the MDS, which is described as being the toughest foot race on earth, and basically you go on a run with everything. You take everything that you need with you and you're running through the desert. You do 7 marathons in 6 days, and I mean, it just I can't imagine even attempting anything like that. I'm not a runner myself. I'm a saunterer. I like to saunter gently throughout hills and pretty scenery. I don't run. And so reading this was really interesting for me. This was extremely insightful into a world that I just know nothing about, and I really enjoyed the way that this is set out. This gives you Graham's experience, warts and all, alongside his sort of hints and tips, which I think would be fantastic for anybody else who might be interested in partaking in this themselves in the future. And there's a part in it where Graham's given his insights and his tips for people who might wish to do this in the future. And then he goes through all of the really hard bits, and then he tells you to just enjoy it and to enjoy the scenery. And I felt that is something that I would love to do. I would love to see the desert at night and see all of the stars and just see how it looks. I once had a conversation about what Afghanistan looks like at night with all of just the stars and the nothingness that's there. It's just something about that absolute nothingness that calls me, which is how I've ended up living on a Scottish island. Now, changing subject quite dramatically, the next book that I read was this one. This one is The Devil Makes Three, and this was an interesting read. So this story follows Tess and Elliot. Tess works in the university library and Elliot is the dean's son. And Elliot just happens to be very good looking but very pompous. And so they don't get off to a great start, I think it's safe to say, but it goes downhill pretty quickly when they find a secret within the library and unwittingly release a devil. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? So Tess and Elliot release this devil who will stop at absolutely nothing to remain free. So begins this creepy tale of dark academia mixed with a slightly gothic horror and mixed in with a YA enemies to lovers romance. This feels like quite a lot of genres hitting you all at once, and I enjoyed that. I like that this is set in a library. There's something creepy but also extremely Moorish about libraries. I mean, you know me by now, I'm extremely bookish. I love everything to do with books, libraries, smell of books, books, more books, books. If you come here often, you'll know that I also love demons and witchcraft and horror and just gore and evil. And this book delivered that. I really enjoyed the setting, and I do love a good enemies to lovers situation. This is a slow burner with enough creepy horror sprinkled throughout it just to keep you turning those pages, and overall I really enjoyed reading it. The final book that I read is another scary one, and that is this one. This is Horseman by Christina Henry. And this story is a continuation of the classic The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And I was very, very here for this. The setting is 20 years after the original Sleepy Hollow story, and the village is still talking about the horseman that chased Ichabod Crane out of town. And the children and the people who've grown up afterwards are left to wonder, is this sort of town lore, or is there something in this? Is there a horseman? Now this story follows Ben, whose grandfather was a pivotal person in the original Sleepy Hollow story. However, no one seems to really believe the Sleepy Hollow story anymore. And the legend of Sleepy Hollow isn't the only thing that is haunting Ben, because Ben is suffering loss, and he's also discovering who he is as a person, because Ben was born as a girl but identifies as a male, which seems to be accepted by his grandfather, but his grandmother seems slightly less accepting of this situation. And so Ben, dealing with this, likes to play a game called the Sleepy Hollow Boys, where he reenacts the stories of his grandfather's past. But one day, whilst he's out, he discovers the body of a headless child, and it opens up everybody's worst fears. Has the horseman returned? I love this. This story is one that will stick with you, and it is one that I don't think will leave me very quickly. The actual creeping horror just sort of permeates into your dreams, and it's something that I dreamt about whilst I was reading it, and I really enjoy it when a book affects me to that level. I found Ben to be a very interesting character to get along with, and I was interested in reading about his journey and about him as a person and where he goes in life. And this book does take place when Ben is 14 years old, but it also goes further a decade into the future, into when Ben is 24 years old, and looks at Sleepy Hollow and life then. And I found it to be really interesting in how much a place can change, and how even though things change, things might look different, but there's still that element of darkness running through it. This is dark, gothic, creepy, and nightmare inducing, so I very much enjoyed this one. So there we go, those are all the books that I have read recently. Let me know if you've read any of them, let me know if you're going to, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.